Well, this is Jack Moelmann once again, and it's the 4th of July, 2012. We're in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles airport, Marriott actually, because this is part of the American Theatre Organist Society's annual convention, which is meeting here in Los Angeles. We have an interesting person. He's 17 years old, and why don't you just tell us your name and where you're from?
I'm Stephen Kucera. I'm 18 and I'm from Kansas City, Kansas.
We've never had very many people from Kansas City, Kansas, so this is an experience. Yesterday, you performed on the organ, the theater organ. We'll go into where that is. You can talk about it, because you were one of the finalists in the ATOS's Young Theater Organist competition, which has been going on since 1984. We've had 54 people in that competition, many of whom have become professional organists, and maybe you'll do that someday. Let's start out with how did you begin music, and when and why and so on?
Well, God has always gifted me with musical talent with keyboard instruments. I started piano when I was about 5, and I focused mostly on classical music when I started out through various occurrences, like I was with piano teachers who ended up losing their love for music. So I lost my love at various points, and then through various extenuating circumstances, I took about 2 to 3 years off of music. When I was 13, I came back to the piano and just started playing through the hymnal, just because I wanted to work on my sight reading a little bit. So it grew from there, and I started playing for the youth choir and doing specials at my church. And then the music pastor, after handbells rehearsal, invited me to learn the organ, and I'm like, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, are you interested?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "Come in tomorrow and we'll play around." So I spent about 3 hours working on pedal technique that next day, and it's just grown from there. So I started the organ about 3.5 years ago when I was 14, and slowly grew from being a substitute organist to a part-time organist to co-organist to being the organist at my previous church. Right now, I'm the organist and pianist at John Knox Presbyterian Kirk in Kansas City, Missouri. And my experience with the theater organ started about, it was January of 2010. I was at a members concert, and there was an open console, so I got up there and I played the postlude I had played at one of the church postlude I had played at a few weeks ago. And I was surprised at the reaction. A lot of people were very interested in how I utilized the instrument. But I thought it was a one-time thing, so I was really surprised about 9 months later when they invited me back to play for the members concert the following January 2011. And from there it's just grown until here I am at the convention, just having played for the Young Organist competition.
Okay, you were playing primarily church music and classical music and things like that. What influenced you to get into playing something more popular? How did that work?
Well, as I said, my music pastor invited me to go to a theater organ concert. He had been invited by one of the previous applicants for the organ position at our church. And
Where was that concert?
At the Kansas City Music Hall on the 428 Robert Morton.
And who was playing?
I don't remember. I do know that Craig Smith was one of the organists there. It was mostly, every January they have a members concert, so it's local people who play. It might have been Marvin Falwell in addition to that. So I went there, I played my classical piece on the theater organ, and when they invited me back, I rarely resist a challenge. So from there it's just really grown. I just enjoy the freedom that playing movie themes and playing various lyrical pieces gives. It just, I relate to it a lot. It gives you kind of another outlet in addition to the church and classical music.
What kind of organ or piano do you have at home? Do you have?
Well, we bought an upright piano when I was 10, I believe. And then 2 years ago, a friend of my dad's family in New York gave us a miniature? A Kauai baby piano. And recently, about 2 months ago, an older person in the Kansas City area was giving away a Rogers 1969 electronic theater organ. No pipes, but electronic. And so we just got that in my house a few months ago, and I've been practicing classical and theater music, and it has certainly helped with the practice time and the instrument availability.
Just curious, what model do you have? of
I've
the
not,
Rogers?
I've not studied it quite that much.
Okay,
But,
3 manual, 2?
3 manual, and it has all the various sounds
Yeah.
and the percussion, but it's mostly the keyboards and the pedal board that's just like really help with organ practice.
Okay, somewhere along the line you lined up with a teacher, or
Yes.
theater, organ teacher, or just organ teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us who and when that started?
Theater organ teacher. My theater organ teacher is Scott Fapiana, the 2007 ATOS Theater Organist of the Year. I met Scott when he did a local concert in Kansas City. I believe it was the fall of 2010. So I heard him play, and he was the best teacher in Kansas City, and so I got together with him to work towards getting a recording out for the 2011 Theater Organist, Young Theater Organist competition. But because I was the only entrant, it didn't pan out. So I've kept studying with him ever since and listening to his expertise and his experiences in the musical world, and it's just grown from there. And I've been working on technique and learning the philosophy of theater organ music. It's been interesting to learn all about it.
Tell us a couple of the things you played yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you the rundown. It was the Ben-Hur Chariot Race March by E.T. Paul, When You Believe from the 1998 DreamWorks film The Prince of Egypt. It was written by Hans Zimmer. I played a Sound of Music medley from the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, and I also played Fly the Bumblebee by Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov and Toccata Brevis by Daniel Gothrop.
Flight of the Bumblebee was very impressive. It's hard to play, and you know, I was telling the people on the bus yesterday that the Flight of the Bumblebee, you don't hear too many people playing it because there's one organist that plays it all the time, and he does it strictly on the pedals, and that's Hector Oliveira.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard him do that?
Yeah, I've not heard him do the Fly the Bumblebee, but he has done, I believe I've been to 2 of his concerts that he's done in Kansas City, and really impressed with his utilization of the various electronic sounds of the organ and just his artistry in general.
Okay, this is sort of a wild question, but you obviously haven't played too many places out and around other than locally. What is the one place or venue or theater, we're talking theater organ now, not church organ, that you would really aspire to play, that you'd look forward to as maybe one of the greatest achievements you could do in the massive life that you have ahead?
Oh, I don't know. I've not been around to many theater organs, so I don't know what's all out there. But I just look forward over the next few years of working very hard, and as my technique grows and as my experience grows and as my music proficiency grows on the theater organ, really look forward to traveling different places and getting a chance to play on it. Perhaps the El Capitan Theater here in California. Mm-hmm. That's a really interesting organ. The new Performing Arts Center organ in Kansas City is patterned off of the design off of that, so it'd be really nice to see that and perhaps get a chance to play on it. But there's so many good theater organs around, and seeing some of the pictures of them, I'm really excited to get a chance to play on some of them.
Well, you know, one of the benefits of playing at a convention like this, and you're introduced in this case to about 300 people, you might get some invites to come play for a chapter or something. Are you and the family, your parents and all, ready for traveling around?
Well, certainly. I don't get an opportunity to travel much, so I'm really looking forward to seeing all the different United States and all the different theater organ venues, and although I'm going to be at college next year, getting a chance to see the different parts of the United States and see what, being July 4th, seeing what the different people in the different states view, see what it is to be an American, and all the different wonderful things that this country has to offer, from the West Coast to the East Coast and the Midwest. It's just such a beautiful country, and getting a chance to play some of the organs, that's just going to be an added bonus to all of it.
Well, the convention's an opportunity to meet a lot of people, and the demo rooms downstairs, I assume you've hit those.
Yes.
And and this is where it all starts, you know. People like Lynn Larson and Walt Stroney, nobody knew who they were when they first started. And so, what are you going to do in college? What's the subject?
I'm going to be going to college at Kansas State University this upcoming fall in August, and I will be double majoring in accounting and organ performance, and minoring in leadership studies, and also being involved in the honors college out there.
Do they have a course in organ?
Yes, the organ professor out there is Dr. David Pickering, previously the organ professor at Abilene Christian in Texas, and most recently Graceland University in Lamoni, Iowa. He got his doctorate from Kansas University, and he's been a really wonderful person to work through the recruitment process. Yeah. And now to be a student of his, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, he's going to be in classical music. Now here's your chance to get him to be familiar with the theater organ. I know a lot of classical organists, and we call them closet theater organists because they wouldn't dare try to play the beer barrel polka or something on it, but you might get a chance. I think this has been very interesting. You're getting a couple awards at the banquet. One is Student of the Year, you know that?
Yes.
I believe it is. And of course, as a participant finalist in this competition, how about scholarships? Are you getting one of those?
Through the ATOS?
Yeah.
Yes, I will be getting a $1,300 theater organ scholarship to go towards my college tuition, room and board out at Kansas State University, and the various other monies that I will get from the various awards will go back into theater organ lessons as I prepare a whole new set of repertoire for next year.
Now, as you go to college, and I have been, and even in high school, there are a lot of other demands on you to divert from organ practicing and playing and all. Are you going to work all of that in? Because many of the people that won the competition, we don't know where they are. They've sort of given up. Are you going to make this sort of a hobby or second thing in your life? What's your ambition as far as music compared to other things?
Well, I have a lot of things that I want to do with my life, but as soon as I graduate from college, I look forward to getting a Monday through Friday accounting job and getting a church organ position for the weekends, but also having the availability to travel to concerts when I have the opportunity to play those. And during college, what's nice is organ performance is going to be one of my majors, so I will be making time for organ.
Good.
And for the theater organ, I use that kind of as my refresher course.
Sure.
It kind of when you play theater organ, it helps you come to terms with what's going on in your life, and then it also helps you have a more fresh approach when it comes to sacred music and also classical music. So it's kind of like my escape, if you can say that, with music.
Good. What's your opinion of this competition you went through? I'm not talking about last year because I know about all that. But what do you think? Worthwhile or?
Oh, it was a wonderful experience. The recording back in Kansas City went very well. The people at the chapter, and I want to thank the Greater Kansas City chapter of the ATOS because they did such a great job with the recording and with making the organ available to me. But out here at the competition, I was just really happy with the way it went. I did a good job, and I was really surprised at the response I got when people started to stand and applaud during one of the interior pieces, the Sound of Music medley. I was really surprised at that. Just the effort that I was putting in. I thought it was going to be big, but I didn't think it was going to be that big. So
I had that happen to one of my concerts. Everybody stood up, and I thought they were going home. Anyway, we're going to bring this to a close, and we have. Let me see if I can get your name right. Stephen Kucera.
Yes.
Is that close enough?
Well, thank you very much. That is like one of the very few people who gets it right most of the time.
Anyway, this is Jack Moelmann. We're here in Los Angeles as part of the 2012 American Theatre Organ Society Convention. Today is, I want to say the time because most of these others are midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. This is 11:30 on the 4th of July, 2012. And we thank you, Stephen. We wish you the very best in your future.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really glad you had me.